Round 1 of the Senior Max class went to Killarney Kart Circuit in Cape Town, and as they line up for turn 1, we speak to former champion Claudio Piatamuso.
I started karting at the age of 18 and joined the Rotax family in 1996 when Rotax came to South Africa. My highlights have been numerous national titles, but winning the grand finals in Langkawi, Malaysia in 2002 is most certainly the highlight of my career. Having said that, winning the Rotax European Championship was a validation of my world title, and as a result, I received huge respect from the European Rotax family. Perhaps Rotax can introduce the 50 and over category so we can have some grandmasters racing each other.
And after race 1 win, local lad Charles Visser takes the lead ahead of Rackstraw. And after an understeering mistake from Visser there, Rackstraw and Van Sale go ahead of him and take the lead. Van Sale saying thank you very much over the shoulder there. Rackstraw still behind Visser and having to give him a bit of trouble going into it. And there he is making a move down the inside on Visser's right shoulder. Let's see if he could make it stick, and that he did. That is 2 riders going past Visser. Now he has a lot of work ahead of him, but Rackstraw taking the win for the locals. Visser in second place, and it was Visser on pole for race 3 ahead of Simpson Heath. And first of the casualties was local lad Storm Lanfear. Wonder what happened there. But now Visser was about to be involved in something very untidy and uncharacteristic. He comes together with Van Heerde there, and then he high sides. Later on, Van Heerde would get high sided by Wyman over his shoulder. Surprised he wasn't injured there, but everyone came out fine. But ultimately, it was Simpson Heath who take the win because Visser was a casualty from the earlier woes of those accidents. But overall for the day, it was Simpson Heath taking first place, Van Sale in second, and Charles Visser in third. And the new class in 2019 is the Max 175s.
The Max 175 is a new addition as well. It is, let's call it a heavy senior max class, pitched at the guys who are slightly older and heavier. You have to be either over 32 years old or weigh more than 85 kilos in your shorts to race in Max 175. A non-gearbox class, unlike the DD2. So it's got no gears and only rear brakes, but fantastic fun, pure racing.
Jonathan Peters taking first blood there in race 1 and ultimately securing himself a lead for race 2 ahead of Michael Steven. Michael Steven had a very good start going into race 2 and secured himself a comfortable position going into turn 1 ahead of Nicholas Verheil there. Nice overtaking maneuver, but Michael Steven ever ready to defend there. A bit of sliding there from Peters going into Michael Steven. A lot of battling going amongst the 175 riders there, but Michael Steven proving his experience on saloon cars, coming and paying dividends there. A lot of going back and forth, very matched for pace, very even matching of the equipment there, but ultimately Michael Steven takes the win ahead of Peters and Verheil. And going into race 3, it was a feature of the same 3 riders with the same battle in a very tight Cape Town circuit. Peters first losing out to Verheil there in a sliding overtake, very interesting to see. But Michael Steven would take even further advantage, overtaking both of them around the outside and maintaining a good lead. Verheil was quick to catch up to him though, very close to his bumper once more, gaining on some of the mistakes Michael Steven might be making, overtaking him there out of the spaghetti. But ultimately, Verheil takes the win, and in second place, Michael Steven ahead of Jonathan Peters. But for the day, it was Michael Steven taking the win ahead of Peters, and in third place was Verheil. A wet and slippery race featuring Senior Max and 175s in round 2 at the Kelso Scribante circuit. We saw Shernader going into the lead ahead of Charles Visser and Jaden Els, a new entrant into the Senior Max class. He didn't feature for race 1. What a baptism he's receiving, quite literally. But we also have the 175s strutting their stuff among the big boys a bit further afield though. Verheil featuring there very much. We've got also Luca Candeli, champion pedigree there, going ahead of Charles Visser. Looks very slippery, but they're managing to find their balance. But Nick Verheil, as I say that, loses out and going right into Storm Lanfear, forfeiting his second place. Peters takes first, but Shernader took race 1 there for the seniors. Now going into race 2, you had Luca Candeli strutting his stuff side by side there with Shernader, but Shernader looks like he got his own back very quickly, not letting him by, having the lighter cart of course. And then with the 175, Verheil had a lot of work to make up for, having lost out from his own mistake in race 2. Shrey Naidu taking the lead ahead of Candely, but Candely showing the experience there. That experience always makes the biggest difference in these kind of things. And there he is taking the lead, and ultimately he would take the checkered flag. Shrey Naidu would answer back with a pole position going into race 3 ahead of Candely and Connor Donovan, a man we haven't mentioned very often. Now the KZN boys doing pretty well in slippery conditions here, but Candely losing out and spinning. Connor Donovan didn't lose out. He managed to keep his position in second behind Naidu. Candely having to work his way back all the way from last. Peterson there ahead of Ferreira in the seniors class. And Ferreira would have to let Peterson go, as in a tight part of the circuit he spun out and ultimately forfeiting his really good second place, having to work his way back up. But Candely there just getting past some of the max 175 riders there. Simpson Heath getting in the mix as well. But ultimately it was Shrey Naidu, the most nimble man on the wet circuit, as he slides across the checkered flag there. But yeah, Shrey Naidu taking first place, Luca Candely in second, and Jaden Else in third for the senior max class. And for the max 175s, we have Jonathan Peterson, Ferreira and Stern in the first, second and third. And for round 3 in E-Dube Raceway in KZN, scenic as ever circuit saw a heated race 1 battle, where Shrey Naidu took the pole position ahead of Charles Visser, the championship leader there. Simpson Heath also featuring in third place, just ahead of Jaden Else. But it quickly became a battle for the championship, as Shrey Naidu would fend off Charles Visser, securing himself the first win of the day. And in race 2, Charles Visser would take the lead ahead of Jaden Else and Crystal, who's doing a bit of a team job for Burrell there on behalf of Naidu. But Naidu does have the pace to do some work for himself, overtaking Visser very well and opening a respectable lead. And Crystal would feature as the perfect teammate, putting himself between Charles Visser and Shrey Naidu, who took the win there. Going into race 3, it was helmets down for the best aerodynamics. Naidu still leading ahead of Visser, Crystal in third place, and Jaden Else there in fourth. Visser has a lot of pace there, as switching up the lead ahead of now Crystal, who probably is going to give Naidu the toe to get as much pace as possible, but that could make no difference as Visser took race 3. And overall, it was Shrey Naidu taking first place ahead of Visser and Jaden Else in third place. Now the Max 175 class saw a healthy grid, and the local man Peterson was on song, taking first place or pole position ahead of Ferreira. Ferreira sliding in a bit of a slide, but manages to recover his second place. But ultimately, you could do nothing about the local man Peterson. They're taking first place for race 1. And going into race 2, it was Ferreira now taking pole position, having some answers to Peterson's dominance early on in the day. But Peterson had all the pace in the world. This is his home circuit after all. He knows every kink and every stone in the circuit, and does so, securing his second race of the day. And going into race 3, it was Ferreira again showing some pace, taking pole position ahead of Peterson at his local circuit. Ferreira might have learned a few things having followed Peterson from the first 2 races. But Peterson has all the answers when it comes to the E-Dube circuit, and he proves that time and time again, making a 3-4-3. Well done to him with Ferreira in second. And overall, it was Jonathan Peterson, the dominant man, in first, Ferreira in second, and Jeff Steven in third. And the final round of the Rotax Max Challenge at Swartkorps was all to play for. Shrey Naidu had to win, had to beat Charles Visser on a day when the championship counted the most. But the man was unstoppable, as was Peterson, who drove behind Ferreira to secure his Max 175 championship, with Visser having one hand on the trophy, having taken Heat 2 of the day. Going into race 3, Visser was looking to secure the championship.
In the family, we got 4 Rotax championships, and yes, it's a family sport. Yes, I'm emotionally drained. It's hard work, very, very hard work, and not easy. Rotax has always been competitive, and you got to be on top of your game.
And that is Visser, the champion there, slipping and sliding across the checkered flag as he secured the championship in race 3. Shrey Naidu put a respectable battle going into race 4, but Visser ultimately had the pace, and he wasn't just going to lay back knowing that he got in the championship. And ultimately Naidu, the worst of luck at the last race, parking his car and ultimately handing the championship, which already was secured by Visser. But overall, the result was a first place for Visser, second for Van Zyl, and third for Jaden Else. And for Max 175, we have Nicholas Ferreira in first, Jonathan Peterson in second, and Stern in third. And for the senior Max class, Charles Visser takes the honors and takes the seat, going to Sarno at the Grand Finals, having competed in the Junior Max last year in Brazil. And Jonathan Peterson there takes the top step going to Sarno, and he's going to be joined by Nicholas Verheul in the DD2 Masters.